How would you like to make your first million? And today we have Andrey Kunov with us. He's the founder of Silicon Valley Innovation Center and BrioLink AI. So, Andrew, tell us, what are the 5 steps to make your first million?
Welcome to Unstoppable Podcast with Harry Sardinas, inspiring conversations with influential millionaires, investors, thought leaders, entrepreneurs who are making a massive difference with their innovative products and services, and sharing the challenges and wisdom of how they sold their first million.
Well, Harry, thank you very much for having me on your show. I really appreciate that. The question that you posed is very interesting. How do you make the first million, right? I mean, that's sometimes it's very intimidating question because it's for, especially for young founders, it's a big question. How do you make money with your business? We all want to have companies, to have passive income if it's possible, become successful at some point. But the first million is the most difficult one, right? The second and the third one are not so difficult, but the first one is the most, in my opinion, is the most difficult always. So just to answer your question, I think, first of all, what you need to have as an entrepreneur, in my opinion, is that you really, really need to like what you're doing. Sometimes people say that you need to have a passion. Well, I don't know if it has to be a passion, but you really need to like it. And the reason for that is very simple. It takes usually much longer to become successful than you would usually endure if you motivated yourself simply with the money. It helps a lot when you actually would still be doing this, even if you're not making any money for quite a while. Sometimes it takes a few years before you understand what the heck you're actually doing with your business. And for that purpose, it's important that you would care about this, what you're doing as a business, even if you were not paid for that. So I would say that passion for what you're doing is probably the first precondition. You just need to like what you're doing. And I'm sure that you, Harry, like doing what you're doing with this podcast,
Absolutely. Absolutely.
right?
I'm loving it. I'm meeting
Yeah,
amazing people like you. What not to like?
exactly. You're not doing it simply for the purpose of making money, right? If it was just for money, I'm sure you could find another decent job that would
Absolutely. It's
pay
a lot of
you.
work.
And it's, I can imagine how a lot of work it is to make your podcast successful. So I totally relate to that. And I can see that you like talking with people. So when you can combine your passion and a business model that helps you grow your business, that's where I think would be the first important condition for the success. The second one, you asked me, what are the 5 kind of secrets of success, right? I would say that every time when you build a new business, you need to have a small product or small service monopoly of what you're doing. Meaning that, for example, you, Harry, when you have your own podcast, what you have is very unique compared to any other podcaster, right? You have your own style, you have your own focus, the way how you interview people. There must be a lot of followers in your podcast who like your style, who like the way how you interview people. And that's kind of like a unique value proposition, right? So the ideal version of the unique value proposition is when you are doing something that nobody else is doing the way you are doing it, right? And that's what I call small product monopoly, meaning that it's not a big business, but what you're doing is absolutely unique. This is how I started Silicon Valley Innovation Center. I used to work at Stanford University before that. That was about like 15, 20 years ago. And when I was at Stanford, I used to, part of my responsibilities was to organize executive education programs for large companies that would send their executives to learn about new technologies and everything else at Stanford. And many of those people who we would host at Stanford would come back to me and they would ask, Andrey, but this Stanford educational program is great, but can you actually invite, or can you organize a program for us that would have companies instead of professors? Is it possible that you could organize something in Silicon Valley as opposed to just at Stanford? And I looked around at that point. I very vividly remember that situation when I was looking around in Silicon Valley and looking for a company which would actually provide this service, organizing educational programs by using technology company expertise instead of professor expertise. And I couldn't find anybody. I was very much surprised that there was nobody in Silicon Valley who would ask technology companies and startups come and present to executives. So I decided to take that risk, Harry, and start this company.
Wow, sounds amazing.
I named it. Yeah, it was interesting. I named it Silicon Valley Innovation Center because I was not sure.
I love the name. I love the name.
Thank you. I appreciate that. It was a good choice, I would say. So what happened was that when everybody was, looking for gold, so to say, in Silicon Valley, meaning creating new products, I started selling shovels, so to say, like offering services in executive education. But nobody else at that time was doing this kind of business. I was the only company in Silicon Valley who was putting together executives and startups in the format of educational programs. So
I bet that now there are lots of companies that follow your lead, right?
Yes, exactly. Yes. So what happened was that I stumbled upon this small monopoly because nobody else wanted to do this business. And it was a monopoly not because nobody else could do it, but it's because it's extremely difficult to organize these programs.
Wow, tell me about it. I organize events all over the world. So
that's right. There you go. You know how difficult it is.
Absolutely.
But it's even more difficult when you actually want to invite startups and technology companies to become hosts and speakers at the events that you're putting together. And many of them would always ask a question: why would I need to participate in your program? And I was able to figure out that, I would say, product market fit. And that's my third advice. Always think about that. What is your specific product market fit? In my case, it turned out that I was able to convince all of those tech startups participate in our programs because I offered them not just an opportunity to speak, not just a meeting opportunity, but actually many of my clients became the clients of those companies.
Wow.
These were senior executive groups. These were board directors of large established companies from all over the world who wanted to come to Silicon Valley and experience new technologies or experience entrepreneurship and innovation firsthand, from the horse's mouth, as they sometimes call it, from the source, right? So this is the way how I presented these opportunities to those hosting companies. And I told them that I could be one of their distribution channels, essentially. If you give us an opportunity to bring our clients to your office or have some kind of a workshop with them, there's a good chance that they can actually take a keen interest in
so
what
will
you're
be
doing.
The step 4 then?
I'm sorry?
What will be the step 4 then? This one?
Good. Sorry, I was talking too much. Step 3. Yeah, I would say it's also important not only have product market fit, Harry, but also founder market fit. Nobody
wow, I love
talks
this
about
concept.
that.
I love this concept.
Yeah, founder market fit means that you as an entrepreneur need to have the right set of skills to actually approach that particular market. You need to know how to work with that market, how to be persuasive when you need to do sales, right? Because as a founder, you need to know how to do pretty much everything. You need to sell, you need to design, you need to run operations, you need to know how to do customer development, all of that, customer service as well. So if you have the right number of skills that would be a good fit for your market, that even sometimes when your product doesn't work, but you can still satisfy your customers, especially in the B2B context. I think this founder market fit is absolutely important. You might have a great idea for your market. You might even have a good product for it. But if you don't really care about that market, or if you don't have the right set of skills, it's not very likely that you will stick around for a long time.
Absolutely. You have to be working. And the final one?
And the final one, I would say, is absolutely important. And I would call it inbound. You have to learn how to do inbound marketing, meaning that you have to learn how to become a magnet for the most interesting clients or customers of yourself. And again, I'm talking about the B2B type of business, right? Inbound marketing is when your most lucrative clients would know how to find you, instead of you going and knocking the doors of your potential clients, because you don't know which one of them has the money at this exact moment when you are coming to them, has the motivation and has time to use your services. So if you randomly start approaching all of your clients, those who you think are your clients, and each of them will either have no money or motivation or time, you're just wasting your time. You're just wasting your life on trying to attract new customers or new clients. Instead, what you need to have is to develop a system that will, a marketing system that will attract those who are looking for your services. If you spread all of your target market in terms of how hot it is, in terms of like wanting to use your services. So on the one side, you would have absolutely cold clients, those who either have no money or time or desire to use your services. And on the other side, you would have absolutely those companies that have all of that, and they're just looking for you, and they don't know where you are or who you are, right? With your small business, you need to be able to put yourself in their radar screen in a way that you would be able to capture those hottest clients, as opposed to knocking the doors to the coldest ones. The way how I did that, it took me 3 or 4 years to learn how to do it.
Wow.
I found the right keywords for Google advertising. We did lots of advertising.
Wow, very powerful. Yeah.
But I didn't know how to find the right people. But then I found some magic keywords for our business. And those keywords, in my case, were visit Silicon Valley. Nobody else was paying for those keywords, because, who cares about who comes to Silicon Valley in terms of business, and I was the only one who was able to monetize those keywords much better because I was selling programs, and everybody else would nobody else would be using those keywords for advertising. So those keywords very, very cheap to pay for. But in my case, I was able to lead generation. Exactly. You need to have a very robust system for generating leads and find 100%. The most efficient way for doing that would be more successful than your competition. Because if your competitors are buying the same keywords and generating the same leads at the same cost as you do, it's a big question who is going to get most of the business in your market, right? You need to create your own unique system of generating leads for yourself by inventing what works best for your particular business. And what I've learned, Harry, is that there is no generic marketing in the world. Marketing and even sales are always unique and specific to your particular business. And that's what you need to kind of need to invent for yourself, is inbound marketing, what I called, meaning that marketing that
Absolutely. Really powerful.
helps you attract clients as opposed to just pay for clients.
Mm-hmm. And then, Andre, AI is taking the world, is changing the world, is changing the way that we're doing business. I don't know if you remember how long it used to take to write a letter. For me, English is not my first language. And my goodness, when I have to write a letter or a business proposal
Right.
to somebody else, I remember I have to be 2 days writing this and then the spelling mistakes, and it was a really challenging. And now you can do this, you can do an amazing business letter better than what I do in 2 days in less than a minute, which is spectacular. So this is not the way that when you and I started our business, these things that were not around.
That's
So
right.
what message do you have for entrepreneurs out there that are not taking AI seriously? They're thinking, well, I don't understand this thing. I don't want to know anything about this. I continue with my traditional business without knowing that if you implement AI solution, you will be shocked what can be
Yeah.
done and in a short period of times. And again, people are saying AI is going to take away my job. Well, if you don't learn how to embrace AI, it's not going to be job for anybody because the whole company is going to collapse because your competitor is doing it. So, what message do you have for those entrepreneurs out there that they're not taking AI business solutions seriously?
Well, I will say this, Harry, to your audience. Anybody who is ignoring AI is making a huge mistake.
Especially that in business, right?
Of course. Yeah, I'm talking about entrepreneurs, of course. Yes. I mean, for consumers, it can be different, of course. Some people still use their hand for writing, right? I mean, that's how it was when I was very young. There were no computers back then, and English is not my native language either. I started learning English when I was like 25, when I came to the United States. So I compare AI in my life to English skills, right? Or typing skills on a computer. Of course, I can use my hand. Of course, I could speak my native language, which is Russian. But then I would need to have a translator. I would need to have somebody who would actually be able to convey my message in English to my business audience. And it's really difficult, right? It becomes a huge barrier, an obstacle to achieving success. So AI is like that. It's just AI can be different things to different people. But for me personally, as a business user of AI, I'm also a developer of AI, but as a business user, it's the same type of tool, like Microsoft Word became 30 years ago, or when was it, in 90s, like 35 years ago when it came around, right? So AI is like that as well. You can, of course, be very advanced user of artificial intelligence. And I'm using like 6 or 7 different companies that provide AI when I compare them, and I'm trying to build a more complicated systems out of that. But you don't have to do all of that. You could just use artificial intelligence to become intelligent yourself. Sort of the AI is an extension of our human intelligence. And there is nobody in this world, I think, at this point, when we have almost reached AGI, that would be as smart as AI. So ignoring that comes at a peril to any of us who want to be successful and want to be competitive on this market. If you're not using artificial intelligence applications for your business, but your competitors do, it's like not using computers 30 years ago or 20 years ago, right? You just will fall behind. That's it.
Yeah, because in the end of the day, we have to be effective and produce more. This
Exactly.
is the nature of business in the first place. So, Andrew, uh, what, Andrei? So, tell us a little bit more about organizing events and bring people from all over the world to Silicon Valley. Has been a challenging process. So, what was your biggest challenges developing this business, and how you overcome these challenges?
Right now, I am actually sitting not in Silicon Valley. I'm sitting in Riyadh, Saudi Arabia.
Saudi,
With
what are you doing there? It's too far from
well,
Silicon Valley.
I like traveling, Harry, and we have clients all over the world, including quite a few of them in Saudi Arabia. So I just attended a conference called LEAP conference. It's the major technology conference in Saudi Arabia, and I had meetings with our
Wow.
clients. So attending and giving talks similar to yours, but live talks at
Mhm.
conferences. So that's what I've been doing for the last couple of weeks, sitting
Wow.
here and visiting our clients here in Saudi. Your question is, what was the biggest challenge for me when I started organizing those programs? These are not exactly, you call them events. We call them immersion programs.
Mm-hmm.
You know,
Mm-hmm.
they have educational, deep
Wow.
educational value because companies share their vision of the future. They share how they see the competitive landscape. They share lots of insights
They were
with our
very immersive, right?
immersive. Exactly. We usually take our clients to the premises of our hosting companies. So you can also kind of get a taste of the innovation culture within every company, or I would say business culture, right? It's always interesting to visit a new company and look around and listen to what the leaders of that company can share about the way how they build this business and how they are moving it forward. So that's kind of what we do. The biggest challenge there was to, as I said, to find that connection between the needs of my clients and the value that would come from the hosting companies. Very often, those hosting companies would wanted to use our programs for selling their products, like a direct sales pitches. Especially that I would often tell them that it's an opportunity for you to connect with our clients for the potential of future sales. So they would just go and directly start hitting our clients with the hard sales pitches. And that was a really bad idea, you
Mm-hmm.
know, because it would ruin my program.
Exactly.
If
We ruined the whole experience, right?
Exactly, yes. So I would always would need to come and tell all of our partners, partner companies in Silicon Valley, please do not do sales pitches. Tell them about your view, your vision.
Your
Tell them
value. Build relationship
exactly.
first. Build the
Tell
relationship
them
first
about
and
your
sell
passion.
after. Yeah.
Yes, tell them about who you are, establish a human connection, give them your insights about the markets, share your ideas about what's going on
Your
in Silicon
knowledge.
Valley and in technology markets. Essentially, give them your vision, connect them on a human level, and
Level.
then if you can educate them, then you can sell them
Absolutely.
your
You can
products.
educate. If you can educate the need, then you have a better chance to sell.
Exactly.
Sometimes the people don't even know that they need the product. So rather than
Exactly,
go and
Gary.
sell something that people don't need, how about
Yeah.
educating the need? How about present yourself who you are and what are the benefits and what are the vision of your company, and probably the
I would
people are
always
listening to it. Yeah.
I would always tell my my partners, like hosting companies in Silicon Valley, that if you can build a relationship, you first need to build a human connection with those executives. They have lots of choices for buying a product from somebody, and most of those executives, they have a, I would say, natural aversion to sales pitches, and it's
Hmm.
not just executives. I think most people don't like when they're being directly sold something in a very kind of a direct manner, right?
People
You
only buy from people that they like and they trust. So first they need to
exactly.
like you. They have to trust you. They need to know who you are, and then they will buy. And
You
there's
just
no
hit it
way
on the
that you
nail.
can. Yeah.
You just hit it on the nail, Harry, by saying that first you need to build a trust with
Yeah.
your potential client, especially in the context of B2B sales, right? Enterprise sales. Those potential clients, they need to feel that they can rely on you and your judgment about that, again, client and vendor fit, right? Kind of similar to product and market fit. When they understand that what you're doing is uniquely a good fit for their needs. And for that purpose, you first need to talk about who you are. You need to tell them about your company on the market, kind of educate them, give them a broader overview of why you are successful with your product and how it works. So just don't try to emphasize your product value right away. Try to give them a choice,
Hmm.
right? A choice to trust you, a choice to develop a personal relationship with you. Maybe it's not that important for consumer products. If I'm buying a toothbrush, I don't need to talk to a salesperson or develop a personal relationship with the company or people who produce that toothbrush, right? Because these are small purchases. But what if that purchase is for a $500,000 or a
Hmm.
million or more, multiple $1 million, right? Or hundreds of $1 million? You will never make that kind of a buying decision without knowing your vendor or your supplier left and right? You would want to know who those people are, what's going to be a long-term value, and lots of questions that need to be answered before they sign a contract like that with you, right?
Yeah.
So that's what I think is important that people often ignore. They think that they built something so important and so valuable
And
that
then you need it and you're gonna
don't
buy
need
it.
forecast.
Yeah.
Yeah. So they
Yeah.
assume that they can just jump and start, selling. And I always tell them, no, build the
And they are
trust.
salespeople. They are salespeople. They're getting a salary, and they supposed to know about
Exactly.
selling. Yeah, that's
Yes.
what they're getting paid for. And I'm like, guys, uh, this is this you're getting paid to sell. This is
Right.
what we're trying to share with you is very basic. You don't need to go to Stanford. It's something very basic.
Exactly. That's
You
right.
you don't meet one person and say, "Hey, buy my product because it's good. You need this. You do this, and this is amazing, and you should buy it." And you do a sales pitch in front of strangers. How do you think that this is gonna go? It doesn't. But again and again and again, Andre, we see this in the sales force out there and us when we are trying to create an experience, because at the end of the day that experience is gonna what is gonna make the most of
Right.
everyone
Makes the
involved.
difference.
Exactly. If everybody have a great experience, the guests to the
Yes.
event and the speakers, they all
Yes.
have a great experience. We create a great experience, and everybody have a space to articulate what they do and
Very
what they
good.
can help others. Now you are in a different in a different level. So Andre, finally you end up coaching and all these tech your tech companies partners. you ended up coaching the sales team, and you had to enroll them in the idea, hey, this is something different. It's not about selling pitch and who make the most exciting sales pitch. This is about an experience, about to build
Yes,
relationship, and eventually you can even achieve a bigger sale if
absolutely.
yeah.
I really like what you said, Harry, about experience. We are moving into, well, I guess I would even say that we're already in a post-industrial society for many years, right? In the industrial society, that's when people more valued buying products by themselves, right? Like when you're building a house and you want to equip your kitchen with kitchen appliances and you go to buy that stuff, you don't really need that much of an experience. I mean, like maybe 50 years ago, you did not need that. And our parents did not need, because they needed to buy that appliances. That was industrial age. Post-industrial age, that's where we live right now. It's very different. You actually want to have an experience, integrated experience with what you're buying, right? So it's not just about the utilitarian value of that particular product that you would bring your home and you turn it into a power plug and it starts working for you. No, people actually want to have sort of a connection with their appliances, connection with those products. They want to have an ongoing relationship with the company that produced them, right? So those, I mean, our homes have become much more sort of an experience producing place. And the same about any other business as well. I think the human touch, especially during the age of AI, when there will be so much automated, the human touch will be very important, because
Absolutely.
we will be surrounded by AI agents very soon. You know, my agent will be talking to your agent, and they will be making agreements, right? Negotiating with each other. And only after that, Harry and Andre will sit down and start having a conversation. So
Wow, that
those,
would be amazing how much time we're gonna save. Yeah.
oh yes, right? We
The
spend a lot
most
of,
valuable resource that the human being
yes,
can have is time, especially in business. We need a business consume. There is something that consume being in business is time, because you have time. You need time to
exactly.
learn about everything. So Andre, our listeners are in love with our conversation and want to know more about the Silicon Valley Innovation Center and the BrioLink AI, how people can find you, how
Well,
the
it's very
process work,
easy.
what exciting product have you created in BrioLink AI? Tell us a little bit more about this and how they can find
Sure.
you also.
Yeah, if any of your customers, or I'm sorry, your audience, I'm already have some
You
students
already
of
have
mine.
the business mind in place. Yeah.
If any of your audience, people in the audience would want to, if they work in a company that would want to come to Silicon Valley and they would want to get that kind of a training program developed, they can just go to Google and search for Silicon Valley Innovation Center. We will come up first, our website, and send me a message. You know, I'm available at email, like email akunov@gmail.com, very easy, and I'll be happy to respond to any of them. And with BrioLink is kind of a similar thing. You know, you go on Google and find BrioLink. We develop custom AI solutions for our corporate clients all over the place. We
Wow.
build a very interesting agent, AI agent, which does
Wow.
a full marketing automation for companies. Essentially, what we do is we kind of created this agent is like your assistant who will publish any kind of uh, any kind of posts on your behalf based on your style, you know, and it would do that automatically. So it's almost like having a live assistant who would be posting for you on all of your social media automatically without you doing anything there at all.
Is
And
it
I just like,
working? Is it working, the BrioLink, or is it in beta phase?
Well, we're almost finished developing that. And if people come to BrioLink website, or actually maybe LinkedIn BrioLink, they will be able to see lots of interesting posts that our AI agent is doing for us. Yeah, we're already
Wow.
using it, but as a service. It will become available as a SaaS sort of a solution within the next couple of months. But it's already working. We already have multiple clients who are using our marketing automation solution. So they can find it on our website.
Well, Andrey, thank you so much. That has been amazing, the interview. And for all of you following this broadcast, see you in our next episode of Unstoppable, how brave entrepreneurs like Andrey break that wall and achieve the first million. Bye for
Harry,
now.
thank you very much for your time. I really
Pleasure.
like this experience.
Thank you so
you.
much. You're very good.
Have a great day.
Follow us for more interviews with world's most influential, audacious entrepreneurs that overcame challenges and adversity, providing you with the blueprint of how they sold their first million so you can grow your business exponentially.